put your skills to work? Explore new career options in the fintech industry at Currency, a Sandhills Global company. We offer full-time positions in financial sales, compliance, operations, and other fields. We also offer a 4.5-day work week, an attractive benefits package, and opportunities for advancement. Put your motivation to work and grow with us at Currency. Visit gocurrency.com/careers to learn more.
Take your operation to the next level. Right now at Landmark Implement, take advantage of special financing on model year 2019 through 2025 John Deere tractors, sprayers, and combines. Take advantage of a 12-month fixed interest waiver, followed by John Deere Financial standard rates, or choose from multiple split rate offers with approved credit. Stop by your local Landmark Implement or visit us online at landmarkimp.com today and experience the Landmark difference.
Hey, this is Jay Foreman, the host of Old School, 3 to 6 p.m. here at 93.7 The Ticket. And one of my favorite things to do is come down and meet all the fans before and after as they cheer on our beloved Huskers.
This message is brought to you by the Downtown Lincoln Association and 93.7 The Ticket.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet, KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. You're listening to Walk the Herd on 93.7 The Ticket, where unheard issues get brought to light and every perspective counts. Here are your hosts, Rebecca Pearson and Aniko Renee.
Good evening. It is 7:01 in Lincoln, Nebraska, and 8:01 in Southern Maryland. This is Walk the Herd with Aniko Renee, Rebecca Pearson on 93.7 The Ticket. Sunday night, we've had basketball. Both teams won, correct, Mr. Bachoven? We had the men win yesterday, and the women won by a hair today?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. So go Huskers. How's it going in Maryland, Aniko?
We're in the middle of a nor'easter, so probably nothing to you, but it is coming down. So I'm just enjoying it.
3 days ago, we had the whiteout for 6 hours, and it caught Nebraska unawares. And
really?
Pretty much, it was like being in Washington, D.C. again, except, nobody had time to run the shelves or anything of toilet paper and milk, but it was chaos, accidents everywhere, very uncharacteristic for Nebraska, but I think it went longer and turned out to be a little bit more, and it hit rush hour, so just like a confluence of events. But it wasn't pretty.
I miss reliable weather reporting, I tell you that.
Well, they told us it was coming. I'm not completely sure I'm going to cover for my fellow Lincoln Nebraskans, but, it's not like we didn't know it was coming, but something caught us unaware, right, Mr. Bachoven? It was something.
Yeah, I'm not sure what it was.
No.
Yeah, we struggled. It was like a record for wrecks in the city since 2020 or something.
Right. You'll relate to this, Aniko, and very common in Washington, D.C. or Houston, but D.C. where we would have snow like this. And again, everybody would know. Everybody would leave work early to try to get home, and yet every major thoroughfare that you needed to get home had a crash with someone who didn't have tires on their car and shouldn't be out driving in the first place. That's exactly what it was like here. It was super weird.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, I'm a big believer in like snow blanket, canned food in the back. I guess it's going to college in West Virginia. You got to be prepared.
Yeah, totally. Well, I think it was just the people that weren't prepared with their cars out in the snow. I'm not sure. Anyway, it's almost all gone, except we have little icy patches. So I keep doing the whoa nilly on the sidewalks, every once in a while, trying to get home. But anyway, it's going to get warm. It's going to be cold as all get out tonight, and then it's going to start to get warm. So we're excited here. In Lincoln, I think maybe break it as we go into March. We'll see how it goes.
Can't wait. I mean, my birthday is March 25th, and I was born in the middle of a snowstorm. So
nice.
Here's holding on for you.
I was born in a hut in the Philippines on March 9th. So
you win. That weather's way better.
I don't know. It could have been a torrential downpour in the Philippines. Who knows? I don't remember. That's for sure. Okay, we have a great show tonight. We cooked up another interesting topic, I think. When we collab, we come up with really fascinating things. Last week, we were talking about religion. We were all over the different variances of religion, religious tolerance and practices, all kinds of things. And tonight, we're going to talk about college tuition, right?
Savings, lack thereof, the full Monty.
Yeah, it came up yesterday in Business Builders. So for anybody who's listening, just tuning in, this is Walk the Herd, where the unheard get heard and every perspective counts. And we had been, so not a sports show, but that's okay. We fill in with a little bit of sports here and there as we can, like the Huskers. Go Huskers, men and women basketball. But we love to touch on topics where maybe we're talking about a perspective that you haven't heard of recently or ever. And we always want you to engage. So if you want to engage or drop us a comment in 402-464-5685, please feel free to do that. You can call in. Jake will answer the phone, or you can drop us a text on the text line. And of course, we're recording this. So if you want to pass this on after the show, feel free to do that. We are live in terrestrial, as we would say, in car tonight, Aniko, which we often have not been because we've had NFL on Sunday nights, but we're live everywhere. So we're really excited if you're listening to us, even if it's just for the first time. We're going to talk about college tuition. And yesterday on Business Builders, which is my morning show with Matt Warner from Empire Fence, we had Tracy Froschiser on. Tracy runs basically Garnet Investment Strategies, which is in Beatrice. And her father had been in here a few months ago. But Tracy's passion is about helping couples in particular, just making sure that both partners in a relationship are familiar with investment planning, wealth strategies, just being knowledgeable about what they're doing for the family. And in that conversation, it came up about college. And she was talking specifically about the 529 funds where you can save. If you're not familiar with a 529, it's a way of saving money. But then, and she was talking about how she's putting into 529 and getting ready to save for her kids. She has 3 daughters. And then Matt piped up and said, hey, I'm not so sure that I would be paying for my kids' college. I feel like they got to have skin in the game and pay for college. And I thought, well, this would be a great topic, right? Because you have 2 very, very successful people, very intelligent people with 2 different philosophies on what to do with college. So then I put that out to you, and you thought it might be a good topic. So why was it interesting to you?
Definitely being a parent that did not have a built-in college fund initially, and kind of having that moment senior year, like my Uncle Bobby did, where you go like, oh, I think I want to go to college now. So you buckle down and you find every grant, scholarship, application. You're not going out, you're not seeing your friends. You're like, who is that? This is a new version of me, just to try to go. And now having a child of my own who has kind of an entrepreneurial spirit, I'm wondering, do I keep that, savings for college, or is it just as important to have savings period to fund a restaurant possibly startup? I don't know. So I'm excited to talk about that with you.
Yeah. And I think there's so many different ways to think about it. And I was just thinking of the world we're familiar with, right? Of just the conversation of even going to college, right? So forget whether or not somebody else is paying for it or you're paying for it or however it gets paid for.
Right.
The average college tuition, I looked this up, and the source for this is a place called educationdata.org. So I felt like it would be objective. And the average cost for state tuition is currently $38,000. This is if you're out of state, but for a state college or state university, that includes book supplies and daily living expenses, which I think they mean housing. The average cost for in-state, which includes housing, is $27,000. This is per year, folks, not for the whole 4-year education, but per year. And if you're just paying tuition alone, the average for in-state, is about $10,000, and out of state is $28,000. Actually, that's clarification there. So it's $28,000 out of state. Anyway, it's a lot of money.
Definitely. And it played a large part into where I went for college, because in my interested major, by going to a college in West Virginia, I was able to pay state tuition, including housing. So I was like, well, I only really need to apply to 3 places. So
Well, and so you had that choice. We're very lucky here in Nebraska. You also have this in Maryland, right? You have a very good university, both in the Big Ten, by the way.
Yes,
right? Good universities with a breadth of offerings so that you actually can choose an in-state college if you would like to. But we're still talking, let's say, if you're including books and housing, and a lot of people want their kids to just leave home to have the experience, right? So that includes housing of some sort. But regardless, they got to live somewhere. So if you don't live in the city of the college, then maybe they have to live somewhere. We're talking $28,000 a year.
Mm-hmm. And that's if you stay, because then you have wild spirits like me who got into it and kind of went, I don't know. And then you got to pay that back as soon as you make that decision, which is very jarring to a young kid, quote unquote, that's labeled as an adult.
Yeah. Well, talk about the loan experience, because so one way to pay for it, and we've talked, do the parents pay? Do the kids pay, or is there something in between? And we'll talk about all of this tonight, because I think that there's no right answer, right? There's different philosophies is what I would call it. But you decided that maybe you wanted to go to school your senior year in high school, but hadn't really thought about it before then.
I kind of always knew that I would go, and I don't know if it's just me as a person, if the universe just listens when I say yes, but I kind of just knew like I would, if that's what I wanted to do, I would go. I would make a way, I would make it happen no matter what. That's kind of how I go through life. So
but you hadn't saved for it ahead of time.
Definitely. I hadn't saved at all, and I had worked all through high school. I got my first job when I was 15, but it was the understanding that my mom was living paycheck to paycheck, even with a government job. So whatever I worked for was my money to go out with friends, or back when malls were still popular, shop, things like that. So then once I started finally getting serious and all my older friends had graduated, looking into like how much applications themselves cost. Now there's one application that you can fill out for all your college's admissions, but it used to be you had to pay each one separately. Luckily at my school, there was something called the Southern Maryland Connection, and it was an extracurricular club where we could go and have someone find for us and walk us through every available grant and scholarship based on our major area demographics. So without that program, I would have been lost in the sauce. Like there's no way I would have known what all was out there. But you go on interviews and you explain to them like, hey, don't look at my grade point average from the first 2 years. Look at my test scores. I'm able to do anything if I set my mind to it. Sell them on you and hope that you get selected out of the X amount of numbers, maybe 50, maybe 100, maybe 10 applicants that apply for this money or grant money. And what was left, my mom and I had to sit down and agree and sign up for loans that we didn't really know if we could pay for them, but it gave the college the number it needed. So you kind of sign up for more than what you realize at that age, both as a young child, but also a parent who hadn't gone to college and didn't know what all that meant. She just knew I needed to go.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? I think a lot of the experience is tied to what's around you, unless you are fortunate enough to have people. I mean, you had guidance counselors, which is great, right? Or people in the school trying to help you. But I don't think people know a lot or are able to think through, again, right? Access, privilege, pick one. Having just people around you that have had the previous experiences, all kinds of reasons why you might not know these things about what you're taking on from a debt perspective. And certainly this is a popular topic to talk about how much student debt any of these generations, even people from my generation, I know were paying their student loans up into their late 30s, early 40s. They would owe $100,000. So you don't really know what you're getting into. And of course, I don't know how you felt, but you felt like, okay, I'm going to get a degree. I'll make a decent wage when I get out and I'll pay this thing off.
I mean, I wasn't even counting on that. I was going to be a biology teacher in high school. So I knew the salary was not, going to be what I needed it to be to pay it off. But again, I just kind of thought I'll figure it out. But once I got that first statement in the mail, working a very entry-level full-time job, I was like, I'm so far behind. It automatically set behind any idea of buying a home, any idea I had of investments on the side or creative. I was like, everything has to go to this.
Right. Well, I believe the 529 plan, savings plan that has come out, it's been around a long time now. I'm almost positive it came out in your early years of childhood. Like it's a fairly new solution. We'll have to look that up on the break. But I'm reasonably sure that it was created in the 90s.
Yes, I think I saw that too.
Yeah, and I worked at ExxonMobil, and we actually had started a plan where if you bought gas from ExxonMobil, then they would contribute to the 529. That's why it sticks in my mind. So that would have been mid 90s when I came out. So people might not have known about it, right?
Yeah, and I mean, we didn't have this pipeline of instant information to look up like I did today or yesterday, like what are options. And when I saw the 529 plan after hearing about it on your episode, I was like, even now I have questions that says, it's state sponsored. So I'm like, is that state taxes or is that, federal taxes? And do you earn interest on it? Is that why people use it? Is it more than a CD or like I still have all these questions for myself now.
Yeah, so it's actually a federal IRS tax investment savings plan. And so you can put money in that. It's after tax, so it's already been taxed. But yes, you invest it, and so anything it earns is yours, and you won't get taxed on that. So it's basically free money. What the states are doing is sometimes they will let you take some of that as a tax deduction that you have contributed to that, so that it's part of an education fund. That varies state by state. Nebraska appears to have one. I am not a lawyer, I'm not an accountant, and I'm not a tax advisor. So I would suggest you go verify this, but based on what I can tell, it seems that Nebraska does have some kind of a tax deduction if you're saving for college in a 529 plan. But it's definitely, and I know we have it because Tracy was talking about it yesterday. So I know it exists in Nebraska for sure.
I found it fascinating. It even can be used in K through 12 education. So like private education or, room and board if you're getting an internship, which I didn't know. So I was like, ooh, I'm a little behind. We got to get up to speed now.
Well, one of the things that you mentioned is also that, you applied for a grant, and I don't know the current grant scholarship situation, but I can only imagine that you have many more candidates than you have funds available, similar to what you went through.
Yes, because my brother is in college now and he's paying for everything out of pocket. He was able to smartly open a credit card when he turned 18 for education expenses. Whereas I worked at JCPenney's, and when they, on my 18th birthday, were like, do you want a credit card? I was like, yes. And I get a store discount. So he had good credit on his side. But he's paying out of pocket for it. And he's saying that a lot of institutions that he was looking at and organizations that he was getting some funding from lost funding earlier in 2025. So we're kind of like, there was no bonus for HBCUs, historically Black colleges and universities. That was gone. So he was like, I'll just go online then if I'm not going to get that experience or be able to have that pot of money there or benefits. So it's a higher candidate pool and a lower, I hate to say possibility, but possibility
of getting a majority of it paid or even part of it paid. Now, even the scholarships that you applied for, they didn't pay for all your education. I think very few of them do, right? The athletes get full scholarships sometimes, but if you're applying, the ones that pay for everything are few and far between.
Yeah, and you have to have, because I got in on everything academic. So no, I had 3 knee surgeries. That was not happening for me. As much as I love dance, wasn't happening.
Right.
So it, like you said, it's very rarely a full ride unless you are top, I want to say it was back then 10% of your class, 4.0 to 4.2 GPA. So you had to be doing extra and AP classes, advanced placement classes to earn that, or dual enrollment. And it's changed so much because now you have kids that are juniors in high school that are able to graduate high school and go to college because of dual enrollment courses. So it's like happening even faster for them.
Well, so a couple of things then. Scholarships are few and far between in general when you look at the total number of people wanting to go to college. Then you have a lot of it is academic. So if you're not in some top quartile or quintile, or in your case, the top 10%, you may not be even eligible, never mind getting it, because even in that case, everybody's writing essays and doing whatever they can, right? So scholarships and grants are out there. They're hard to obtain. They require work. And if you don't fit the eligibility, then you're back to trying to figure out how to pay for college. Now, there's also the whole conversation of feeling like it's accessible.
That's what I was just going to say. Then you have the accessibility aspect of it. What about the people who don't have a laptop at home?
Or anything. I mean, give us the rundown on your experience of the accessibility issues. So laptop is one.
Laptop is one, and this is 2010 when this is happening. So now every child in school has a laptop. They don't even have textbooks. Like, they use their laptop for everything. But back when I was growing up, it was either the library or the computers in the connections program. Even that, there were a lot of students who didn't quite understand how to navigate a lot of the scholarship pages. It's not put into 5th grade reading level and below, which is a lot of adults even. We had 2 teachers who would run around between a room of 50 of us at a time per period. So you're losing time that it takes to fill these out. Some of them are timed. You had kids who didn't even have cell phones at that point. Like, we still had payphones in high school. And you would have to call and be like, hey, I need this form. Can you come bring it and drop it off to the school for me? And that was if their parent had a car. So accessibility is huge.
Yeah. We're talking about college tuition. If you're just joining us, you're listening to Walk the Herd with Aniko and Rebecca. And we're talking about who pays for college. Never mind if you're deciding to go to college, because there are some constraints that you might put on yourself for not even considering going to college. So some of those you were just articulating of just accessibility, but certainly the knowledge required to help navigate even applying to college if you want to go. I think an unheard perspective could be not everybody has a parent or parents that know how to do that. What if your parents never went to college and you're the first one who wants to go in your family? Why would your parents know anything if they never went?
Right. And that's
college.
There was a lot of, what does this mean? And my mom just having to say to me, like, I don't know. And it would be something that I would write down and take with me to school and go in and ask Miss Smith or Miss Robbins, like, what does this mean? So if we're signing this and it says XYZ term with this percentage, is that both of us or one of us? Or if something happens and I don't get a scholarship renewed for the 2nd year, does it mess up my mom's credit by not having this portion done? Like, there's so many unknowns that you're kind of just going on a hope and a prayer, realistically, that you're signing everything right and that others have your best interest at heart.
And it has a pretty big impact because it has a financial component at some level, because college is no longer free in this country. And college used to be free in this country and it no longer is. So now you're navigating finances. So back to, what if your brother, sister, aunt, uncle, grandparent, parent doesn't have the financial understanding to help you navigate scholarships or signing a debt instrument that you're going to borrow money to go to school, even though school loans are famous for being deferred for decades sometimes, right? You don't have to pay them back immediately.
The right criteria for sure. But they're pretty cut and dry. There has to be some form of partial enrollment somewhere.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's not even like, okay, well, go ahead and work and save some money to get a little foundation to pay us back. It's like, oh, you're not in school, period. Which is why a lot of my sorority sisters, went to grad school just so that they had more time to not pay their loans, because they were also coming from parents that did not have it and did not even expect us to get where we were. So a lot of us were the firsts in our family.
Right.
So.
So then who helps you, right? And these are some of the things that you don't necessarily think about. Now we're going to talk about the other perspective. You're giving a very good perspective on, I think you had an expectation that you would pay your own way to school because you had a conversation in your family, and for your situation, that seemed to make the most sense. So then you went down the grant scholarship route, as you should, to try to get some of that paid, and you got some, I believe, correct?
Yes, I did. Okay. And I also was someone who in 2020, when they offered student loan forgiveness, applied, and I got them forgiven. So
outstanding. Okay.
Now I'm good, but not everybody got that, Right. And some of my friends have more than one child. Some of my friends are a single parent household. Right. Some of them are now taking care of their parents who didn't necessarily plan well for their retirement or couldn't, living paycheck to paycheck. So there's a whole lot of added on top of it of what seems like a small thing at that age when your frontal cortex isn't developed all the way. Right. It can seem very minuscule, but once you're a grown-up with grown-up circumstances, it's a whole different ball game.
Well, let's take a break here. And when we come back, this is Aniko and Rebecca talking about who pays for college tuition and how do you get it paid. We'll talk about being an adult and planning for college. So this is 93.7 The Ticket. We'll be right back after the break.
Rick Heyman here from Sartor Heyman Jewelers. I want to personally thank our great customers for voting us once again the best of Lincoln. At the same time, we're celebrating our 120th year in business in the great state of Nebraska. You can count on Sartor Heyman for the very best quality, value, and customer service. When it comes to your jewelry needs, visit us at South Point, Grand Island, and the Outlet in downtown Lincoln. Visit us today at sartorheyman.com, and thank you for your continued trust after all these years.
Concrete Industries has immediate job openings for precast production laborers and maintenance technicians. Concrete Industries offers great pay, health benefits, 401k, a wellness program, holidays, and paid time off. Apply today to earn a starting pay of $21.50 per hour plus a $1,500 hiring bonus. Concrete Industries is hiring all experience levels and offers on-the-job training. Start your career today as a precast production laborer or maintenance technician. Visit concreteindustries.com.
Take your operation to the next level. Right now at Landmark Implement, take advantage of special financing on model year 2019 through 2025 John Deere tractors, sprayers, and combines. Take advantage of a 12-month fixed interest waiver, followed by John Deere Financial standard rates, or choose from multiple split rate offers with approved credit. Stop by your local Landmark Implement or visit us online at landmarkimp.com today and experience the Landmark difference.
Are you looking for an exciting new way to put your skills to work? Explore new career options in the fintech industry at Currency, a Sandhills global company. We offer full-time positions in financial sales, compliance, operations, and other fields. We also offer a 4.5-day work week, an attractive benefits package, and opportunities for advancement. Put your motivation to work and grow with us at Currency. Visit gocurrency.com/careers to learn more.
Winter is just around the corner. Is your vehicle ready? Don't get left out in the cold. At A1 Automotive, we prep your car for whatever winter throws your way here in Nebraska. For battery checks, brake inspections, tires, heaters, whatever your car needs to keep you and your family safe on the road, we've got you covered. A1 Automotive, always honest answers.
If you or anyone you care about is facing a family legal matter, call Cordell and Cordell today at 1-855-GET-LEGAL or visit CordellCordell.com to schedule your consultation.
There's a lot on the line in divorce. This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell, the largest family law firm in the country, with over 35 years of helping clients navigate divorce. But being big doesn't mean less personal or less local. Our attorneys live and work in your community, and as neighbors, they understand the challenges your families face. Divorce touches all areas of your life, your home, savings, retirement, and of course, kids. So when you find yourself facing divorce, you need a partner you can count on. Visit CordellCordell.com to schedule your consultation.
If you or anyone you care about is facing divorce, contact Cordell and Cordell today. With over 100,000 clients served, we understand the challenges you're facing on a personal level. Call Cordell and Cordell today at 1-855-GET-LEGAL. That's 1-855-GET-LEGAL. 1221 N Street, Lincoln.
Tune in to 93.7 The Ticket immediately after every Nebraska men's basketball game for 1 hour of post-game recap. The Nebraska Basketball Postgame Show is sponsored by Union Bank and Trust, John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, Air, and Electrical, Jack Russell of Farm Bureau Financial Services, and the Lincoln Airport on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
A lot of people in the summertime think, gee, I want to build a new home. By the time they go through the process of sitting down, getting the permits, and getting the home started, the home isn't done until January or February.
Bob Benish is the founder and president of Aspen Builders, online at aspenbuildersinc.com.
I think the best time to start designing your new home is the month of February. Get an early start on it. Sit down, the snow's flying. Let's sit around the table. Let's drop some plans. When we're looking out for a homeowner, we're always keeping their budget in mind. Let's put numbers together and let's get that thing started so that the home's done in summer or fall before school starts. So now is really the time to be contacting us to get an appointment to get the job done.
Make your dream a reality and call Aspen Builders at 423-6811. Online at aspenbuildersinc.com. Your dream home is waiting at Aspen Builders.
Hey Husker Nation, this is Todd Euler, two-time national champion, here to talk to you about Window World Lincoln. At Window World, we specialize in replacement windows, doors, siding, and roofing. Whether you're looking to enhance the beauty of your home or increase its energy efficiency, we've got you covered. And here's the best part. We offer the best for less. Our team is dedicated to providing top quality products and exceptional service at affordable prices. We want to earn your business and make your home improvement dreams a reality. So why wait? Contact Window World Lincoln today at 464-7313 or visit our website at windowworldlincoln.com. Window World Lincoln, where quality meets affordability.
Way out there where the sun comes up under the big red sky, I do life the way I love, with family by my side. I feel home with me, no matter where I go.
Proud of where we're from, excited for where we're going. Pinnacle Bank, the way banking should be. Member FDIC.
You're listening to Walk the Herd on 93.7 The Ticket. Here are your hosts, Rebecca Pearson and Aniko Renee.
Welcome back. If you're listening to Walk the Herd, this is Rebecca Pearson and Aniko Renee. We're both here in Lincoln, Nebraska, talking about the unheard perspectives where every perspective counts. And tonight, we're talking about college tuition and who pays and why we pay and what's the process like and all the challenges that come with college tuition that is on average out of state for a state school, $38,000. And we did not talk about this in the first segment, but we're going to talk about being an adult now and planning for college and some of the challenges that go with that, plus philosophies. And if you want your kid or your kid wants to go to one of the all fabulous private institutions, you can start thinking about up to $60,000 a year. Can I just remind you, we're talking a year. That is a ton of money. And if you have more than one kid, which many people do, now you got double, triple trouble. Like it adds up really quickly. So then you're having the whole conversation of, are my kids going to college and what's my philosophy as a parent? So, Aniko, now you get to be a parent in Fantasyland and you're planning for college. There are lots of philosophies. As I said, yesterday we had two different ones. We had one person saving. The kids are young, right? So hoping by the time they're old enough to go to school, they've got money for 3 kids to go to college. And then you had a different perspective of, you know, earning your way through college. And that could easily be shaped by where those two people came from and, you know, their lives and what they've lived and what they want to do. So what's your philosophy? Now you're a parent in Fantasyland. Your philosophy can be anything.
We'll just have you unmute your mic quickly.
Oh my, okay.
That's 2 weeks in a row. That's terrible. I said in a dream fantasy land, I already have 38,000 saved. So
For year one.
realistically, yeah,
Just
for
for
year
year
one.
Okay.
Right.
For an
And my
state school. Mhm.
yes, because my son's looking at a culinary college. So I'm
Ooh.
sure with that comes, cooking utensils and things like that. But
Okay.
so far, as a person with ADHD, I typically don't see things on my radar until it's immediate. So it's very easy for me to not flag this as an immediate issue when doing research for this shows me that it very much is.
Right.
So
And that's year one. So is your philosophy that you try to save and pay for year one, and then your kid pays for the next year, or how do you share expenses? Does the parent pay? This is a philosophy. There's no
yeah,
right or wrong. Like, what would you do?
I would love to be able to do it all myself because there's so much pressure that even comes with I was trying to do homework at my college job, working at the front of the dorm, still trying to do both. So realistically, is that the best for highest expectations and achievement? Probably not. Working while you're in school, you probably should have the freedom and stress-free mindset to fully engage in what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
Instead of being like, well, I know my mom's going to work extra hard for this, or I know she's picking up extra hours or a second job. I don't want that to be in the forefront of Nate's mind, but Nate is empathetic, and most kids are for their parents. We have a very emotionally intelligent generation coming up in Gen Alpha and Beta. So it's not like they're not going to think about it.
Well, it's interesting. I was looking at the research, as I said, and this is, folks, I'm not putting one position over another, right? Just sharing information. There seems to be some evidence that students whose parents fully paid for tuition and books, the students had lower GPAs, interestingly enough. Now, I will tell you that my parents paid for all of my education. And my brothers. And I was listening to Dave Ramsey, who's actually a pretty well-known, I guess, money guy. I'm going to call him a money guy. He's got a easy to listen to podcast if you're interested in just getting a perspective. And he had this, I listened to one of his shows today on this exact topic, and he had somebody call in and they had different perspectives, right? He had also paid for his kids. But the person calling in was coming from a place of, why should I pay for my kids? They need to earn their way through, right? So very common for not everybody to be on the same page. But I got to thinking about all of that, Aniko, because I think it can be very intertwined with philosophy, possibly ability, a million other things going on in your life, right? Of whether you can or you cannot. And then there's certainly parents, let's say, who are financially able to, who don't. So, how do people make that determination? What's going into their thought process for any of those? Because they all exist, and there's definitely no right answer.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. There's no right answer in that. Just no one tactic works for every child. Mm-hmm. Gentle parenting does not work for everyone. Authoritative styles don't work for everyone. So I think you kind of have to look at the bigger picture of who your child is, who we're talking about, and kind of see do they need to learn accountability? Do they have a sense of entitlement already that's going to allot for that lower GPA like you talked about? Mm-hmm. I wouldn't have thought of it that way, but that makes sense. Do they need a break? Have they been hustling for 12 years straight? Holding it down, and now it's time to allow them to have some success without added stress? Or is that still the American dream? Is that the part where it lays, is seeking an education and a better chance at a better job and a higher salary and guaranteed employment?
Yeah. Well, we'll get Jake in this conversation. Hopefully he doesn't mind being dragged into this conversation, because he has an interesting strategy that he did in school that I think we should raise around community college, but you also have a son. So what are you thinking about this whole dialogue?
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. I'm trying to figure out how I can afford my son's car by the time he's 16 before getting to college.
Never mind college.
There's plenty obstacles here. But yeah, I went the community college path, and I'm really glad I did for a few years. And so that saved me a lot of money. Now I'm still paying for my student loans as it is today, so it did not completely save me. But yeah, I mean that was one of my I would say one of my best decisions. But it's also, again, what are you looking for? If you want the full college dorm experience, freshman to senior, you're not going to get that. So
Right.
you have to give up some opportunity or some experiences if you're going to go that route.
Definitely. I think too, my brother he was a kid who was in high school during COVID. Those kids did not know how to have a full college experience even when they got there. They weren't really inept to throw big parties or leave the dorm, period. Like they were very good just in their rooms because that's what they had done. So it's like, are you also saving for something that still exists is a good question.
Right. Well, I think I think you hit the nail on the head. At least that's how I was thinking about it. But it then means, so I think if every family is adapting for their philosophy, their experience, their child, because I do think that the child has a lot to do with potentially the different philosophies that people had. You don't know who your child is until they're hitting, later in elementary school, let's say, right about the age of Nate, right? 10, 11, 12, you start to see what this child might be like, and they still have a long way to go into adulthood. But if you're trying to complement your child's style, whatever that is, you don't really know who they are until you're 10 or 11. And by then, if you start to save because you want to contribute in some way to the college, or you want them to save, you're already 10 years behind, right? So I think it's an interesting thing to talk about planning and how do you plan. And then your kid may not want to go to college, and culinary school might even be a specialty school, right? So now you've got something different going on.
Exactly. So that's my other thought of like, do I save for something that then he can't use? I know it said that you don't get penalized for taking money out of 529 accounts.
Right.
But I'm sure there's stipulations on that I also still don't understand and would have to ask you about, frankly, because I don't know.
Well, we were talking I think savings in general, whether it's a 529 or just a regular savings account, either one can make sense. If you're just putting money away. And I think if you want to plan from the time you give birth to your child, assuming they want to go to college, it's a no lose strategy to save money, because you can always spend it, right? And if you don't not college because they don't want to go, or you don't want to pay, or whatever happens, it's still your money, and there are ways to use it however you would like to use it. So it's more about tax advantages and timing and investment than it is limiting. So if you want to do that, then you should start early, just because it's the longer you can save, the more years your money will earn money. And then you can spend it however, if it turns out that you want to do something different at the end.
Yeah, I was pregnant with Nate at 21. So at the ripe age of 21, I had no idea what that type of foresight looked like, or I was trying to figure out how am I going to pay for diapers when he gets here, let alone
college.
That. So
and then there's parents absolutely who start on the day they're born. There's everything in between. So it is an interesting conversation as to how you think about it. But if it's not even on your radar, never mind, you might have higher priorities and all those real things that happen in life. Then you may not do any planning for it. And I think in general, the common advice would probably be to plan however you can plan, right? With whatever that means. But if you don't plan, then we've got all kinds of things that you can consider. And again, whether you pay for your kids or you have them pay, I would be interested in the philosophy. So now, Jake, what's your philosophy, having been through your experience and you still have loans at this age?
Yeah, I mean, I just right now I don't have a specific plan for my son toward college. It's just kind of in general. I think we talked on a previous episode. I kind of just like to have a basically retirement plan that's accessible to a degree,
right?
That I think can help. And so we'll see kind of when it, like you said, like when it gets there, maybe wants to go to trade school, maybe wants to do something else, so we have to see what kind of goes on. But,
are you in the parent, I want to pay for my kid's school philosophy, or are you, I want to share it with my kid because my kid needs to learn finances, or where do you come out on that
Well,
one?
I'm going to try to teach them finances the best I can all along. I would prefer to be able to pay. I mean, I went with I didn't have that luxury, but I went to school with people that, either had that happen and everything was paid for. And then you'd have, people that had like houses or whatever, and they could rent it out and have so there's just certain parts of it that they didn't have to worry about. And I want to do some of that at least for them and as much as I can. But again, just kind of depends on where we're at that time.
Right. Well, and they're definitely parents. I mean, Matt Warner's in this bucket, right? Of his philosophy is, I think the kids got to have some skin in the game. And his kids are amazing, by the way, right? His kids are incredibly responsible and they're all in the business. And, we didn't talk about why he had that point of view, but I certainly know he is not alone. This gentleman that was calling in on the Dave Ramsey show had the same perspective. So, it's whatever's right for the family and whatever decisions you're having to make at the time. But the fact of the matter, and if your kid wants to go to somewhere after they graduate from high school, the facts are it costs a lot of money, even if it's a specialty school. It is usually sizable relative to what you've been paying for your child to go to a state-run system, right, of high school. So when we come back from the break, we will talk a little bit more about some of the research, some of the philosophies, and if you all want to participate or drop us a chat, do it on 402-464-5685. We'll be back with Walk the Herd in just a minute.
Are you looking for an exciting new way to put your skills to work? Explore new career options in the fintech industry at Currency, a Sandhills global company. We offer full-time positions in financial sales, compliance, operations, and other fields. We also offer a 4.5-day work week, an attractive benefits package, and opportunities for advancement. Put your motivation to work and grow with us at Currency. Visit gocurrency.com/careers to learn more.
Empower a child today with the Teammates Mentoring Program by building a relationship based on strengths and chart a brighter future 1 week at a time. Find out how you can be a mentor by visiting LincolnTeammates.org. Become what you needed as a kid by joining the Teammates Mentoring Program today.
In a world where Wi-Fi battles rage and bandwidth is never enough, one family dares to connect it all. Work from home, influence all day, stream all night, and game to win. Deadlines, downloads, and dance-offs, all happening under one roof, flawlessly. Can your internet provider do that? Fiber fuel your household at allofiber.com/all-in.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Koppel Chevrolet GMC, and right now at Koppel, we are offering big discounts on all of our inventory. 2026 GMC Terrains are leasing at $279 per month or buy for $27,690. 2026 Canyons leasing for $269 or buy for $40,980. Also right now, all new Equinox EVs and all half-ton trucks are starting at $12,000 off MSRP. These are just a few examples of some of the aggressive pricing going on right now at Koppel. Please stop on in or check us out at koppelcars.com. All these with $2,500 down and with a roof credit.
Bring your crew, bring your school colors, and bring the noise. On February 22nd, Love Nebraska hosts Love Madison at Baxter Arena for College Night with first serve at 5 p.m. It's student energy meets big match intensity, diving saves, heavy swings, and rallies that refuse to end. Whether you're coming straight from campus or making it a full night out, this is your chance to see Nebraska's pros defend the home court. College Night, Madison in town, Sunday at 5. Lock in your seats now at lovneb.com/tickets.
Golfing in 72 degrees and perfect conditions in Nebraska doesn't seem possible in the winter, but it is. Double Eagle Golf is your escape from the bone-chilling cold outside and a reason to keep the clubs out year-round. Book a bay with some friends for a weekend or come by for golf and happy hour on a weekday. Spring leagues begin in February. Get signed up today. That's all at Double Eagle Golf inside the Kinetic Sports Complex on West O Street, online at doubleeagle.golf. When it comes to concrete, Stevens & Smith Construction doesn't stall. They go for the takedown. As Nebraska's full-service concrete contractor, they stay in bounds, hold inside position, and never forfeit quality. Whether it's foundations, flatwork, or concrete coatings, they elevate performance and pin down results that win every time. Stevens & Smith Construction is a proud sponsor of Takedown Tuesdays on 93.7 The Ticket. Because when it's time to wrestle with concrete, Stevenson Smith Construction slams expectations.
Hey guys, this is former UFC fighter and mixed martial artist Anthony Lionheartstone. The Upside Bar and Lounge in South Lincoln is the go-to spot for every UFC event, prelims, and main card. There's never a cover, so make sure you get there early and stay late. Upside Bar and Lounge has daily specials, a margarita club, and a taco club. And don't forget, they just added Buzz Bowls to their menu. Learn more about upcoming events by visiting UpsideBarLNK.com and stop into their South Lincoln location for every UFC event on 27th and Pine Lake.
Are you looking for a fresh new hangout spot? Let me tell you about Liquid Asset Sports Bar, where Mondays mean new weekly drink and food features. With 23 taps, a full lineup of cans and bottles, and 40 TVs blasting every sports package out there, you'll never worry about missing a play. Savor high-end spirits at their stylish top-shelf bar, enjoy a healthy menu, family-friendly atmosphere, and catch all of your favorite teams every day. Doors open daily at 11 a.m. Liquid Asset Sports Bar, located at 2755 Jamie Lane in South Lincoln.
The place you call home should always be a place of comfort. Warm and cozy in winter, cool and relaxing in summer. If your home isn't delivering the comfort you expect, call Bryant. It's more than just hot and cold to them. It's about providing the best comfort solutions. And Bryant gives you a full 24-month test drive on your home comfort system. Get full details at BryantLincoln.com or call 467-1111. Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing. Bryant, whatever it takes.
When you were a kid, clubs were cool. Robotics club and space club and stuff like that. But what do adults get? Book clubs and quilting clubs? Nah, forget that. How about margarita clubs and old-fashioned clubs? Get to Upside Bar and Lounge for the best clubs in town. Try all 10 varieties of Upside margaritas or old fashions and take home a free souvenir glass. Grab the whole crew and pair it with taco night on Mondays or whiskey Wednesdays. Upside Bar and Lounge at 29th and Pine Lake.
You're listening to Walk the Herd on 93.7 The Ticket. Here are your hosts, Rebecca Pearson and Aniko Renee.
Welcome back. It is Walk the Herd. We're in our last 5 minutes. We're talking about college tuition, who should pay for it, why anybody would pay for it. And we were having a great conversation offline, Aniko, about just college in general and what can you do with the money. So let's say you save from the time your kid was 2 until they're college age and you have all this money and, you could just invest it and earn a bunch of money on top of that. And maybe that's a better use of the money than putting someone through college. Not today, in today's world, there are many, many positions that don't require a college degree, right? It's less attractive for sure.
Definitely. And I'm kind of someone who's hustled my way into many jobs I probably should not have, some people might have thought I should not have been in those rooms, but isn't the whole point, to flex your intellect and give you a kind of a doorway to do so? I at least maybe in a semester of college learned some skills, interview techniques and things like that, going on all those interviews for scholarships that kind of showed me how to represent myself and be able to finagle my way through.
Well, there's all different kinds of models. If you're just joining us in these last few minutes before Ricky C. Simmons comes on, we're talking about college tuition and just what it costs. So average out of state, $38,000, in state, $28,000. One of the private schools, we're talking $60,000 per year. And do you even need a college degree? But are you asking your kids to pay? Do you pay? Or do you have some other strategy? And they're all over the place where people might put in a cap of I'll pay $10,000, you pay the rest. There are ones that will say I'm paying college and books. You have to pay for housing. I'll pay it all, but you have to have a job. I'll pay it all, but you have to get good grades or stay enrolled for 4 years, right? I've seen from the research and listening to the podcast, there's pretty much every model out there, which just kind of suggests that people are doing what they think is appropriate for their kids, their family, their situation, the college, the cost, whatever's going on in that time.
Yeah, just because I've made it certain places without a degree doesn't mean that I don't question wanting to go back and seek one, like at least once a month.
Yeah.
Which you would think is an exaggeration, but I genuinely once a month think like it would be great to have this piece of paper to prove that I am who I say I am and no one can take it from me, and just knowing I completed it.
Yeah.
That's such a hard thing. Again, ADHD brain, but I just really want to complete something. Maybe someone's kid does too,
Well, totally. Plus, there's systemic bias, and I can get on my hobby horse, right? There's systemic bias. There are real uh, um, blockages, real accessibility issues that are built into the system, including just your parents went to school, and so they know potentially more how to navigate than someone whose parents didn't. Just talk about accessibility and understanding. And then financial, seriously, if financial is a factor and someone has money and someone doesn't, then that tends to be generational and ties into many other things we've talked about on this show about generational wealth and transfer generational poverty, right? But I think that one of the things I used to talk about all the time is people would ask me, do you need an MBA for this job, that job, or whatever? And I'm a believer in talent, 100%. I could give two hoots if you have a degree. Unless you're a doctor or a lawyer, I might actually care, right? But it's very efficient to get knowledge in school. But the real rubber meets the road when you have experience. So knowledge is one thing and experience is a whole nother thing. What do you think?
I think you're absolutely right. Knowledge and kind of like when we talked about talent, you have the ability, you have to have a supervisor when you get to where you're going that's going to pour into you and your talents. And there's a whole lot of tricks in that mixed bag. But I am wondering, is there a magic, sorry, my cat, is there a magic number for parents looking to save that they should start with, or, you know, a certain amount to put away or percentage that seems feasible? Is there a magic number?
Well, you might start with, and we'll have to wrap this up. What a fun conversation. We could talk for 2 hours on this one. Start with what's feasible for your family, for your situation, and plan early or think about it early. Let's say some of the things I think lessons learned from others would be think about what's appropriate and feasible and realistic for your situation, and then plan early. If you are trying to save money, then you definitely want to start early. I think everybody would tell you that. What do you think, Jake? You got anything to add to that?
Yeah, no, I think that's the best advice is whatever is feasible. But yeah, it's like you said. I mean, there's so many different paths you can go down here. But I would like to say too, you know, you graduate with one person or three different people, and they can, you know, it can be on three different places with that degree. It
Right.
doesn't take you the longest. And then the other thing is that I wanted to bring up real quick is I think too is sometimes what you're paying for, and they think about who you know, not what you know, is sometimes
Yeah.
the alumni base and all that sort of stuff that,
True.
you know, so like networking, all that. So
Yeah, that's true.
That's a great
Yeah, you
point.
are buying other things. Yeah, good point. Last words, Aniko. We're going to sign off.
Hey man, do what you can do, the best you can do it, and that's all we got.
This is Walk the Herd, 93.7 The Ticket. We'll see you next week.
Concrete Industries has immediate job openings for precast production laborers and maintenance